What's good, pro football fans? Welcome to the Power Hour, hosted by Vinny and Les brought to you by Tat. And we're over here again at the Rockstar Bar. Shout out to everyone here at the Rockstar Bar for opening the door for us and opening their arms. Truly appreciate it.
Golfing right outside.
This is your weekly, and now it's going to be twice a week go-to for pro football news, specifically or primarily about the Raiders, the team here in Las Vegas. But before we get to all of that, just want to say what's up to my co-host, Les Kahuna. Les.
Right on, Vinny, man. I'm glad I'm here, man.
What are we?
I'm excited, man.
Just we're less than a week from the start of the NFL
regular season. Yeah, the start of regular season.
Who's playing that game? I don't remember. That Thursday night game. Refresh my memory, Les.
Oh, TB12, man.
The Dallas Cowboys against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do you see?
The Dallas Cowboys.
I have a weird feeling about that game. But anyway, all good. Listen, we're just over a week away from the Raiders making their, I'm going to call it their debut.
It really is. It really is. Last year, you really can't count last year, right? I mean, you can, but without fans and all that stuff. So it's going to be like a real regular season game that we've been used to growing up, watching fans and
Allegiant Stadium, it's going to be sold out. It's the Baltimore Ravens. It's Monday Night Football. It's right off the strip. It's everything that the Raiders had envisioned when they made the move from Oakland here to Las Vegas. This is a show town, and I don't think that people in Las Vegas truly understand how big of a show the NFL is on a game day experience with the fans. What kind of an atmosphere are you expecting?
Oh, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be madness, man. It's going to be people from everywhere, because Vegas is somewhere that everyone travels to from around the world, especially it being the opening week of NFL season, and even, you think about even like the Super Bowl. It's the busiest New Year's Eve, and the second is the Super Bowl Sunday. It's the busiest weekend of the year in Vegas. And the game isn't played here, obviously.
Right.
But people come here because it's true. But people come here obviously just to celebrate and watch and enjoy a game.
Right.
So not necessarily just Raider fans and Baltimore fans. There's gonna be fans from all kinds of teams here in town.
Yeah. In fact, and the day before the game, we could let this out, right?
Right. Please do.
We're gonna be at here at the Rockstar Bar, right on Las Vegas Boulevard, right across the street from the town center, right next to the golf complex that's here. We're gonna be here on Sunday the 12th, the day before the Raiders open their season against the Baltimore Ravens. We want all football fans, Raider fans, anyone. Let's celebrate professional football here in Las Vegas. Obviously, you're going to have the Sunday night game.
Yes.
That's on. That's the Bears against the Rams. Huge game. Yeah. So come celebrate it with us because we're going to be here at the Rockstar Bar. It's going to be a blast. We're going to give away tickets.
Yes.
We're going to give away some tickets
to the Raiders game.
To the Raiders game against Baltimore.
And
some other. We got some other surprises up our sleeves. So listen, if you're in town, if you live here, whatever the case might be, just come hang out with me. I'm going to be here. Q Myers, my good friend from R&R Radio, hosts Unnecessary Roughness. By the way, I host In the Huddle. Weekdays, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 on Raider Nation Radio. And of course, I cover the Raiders for the Las Vegas Review Journal. But we're going to be here hanging out. We want all you fans to come out and join us. But before all that, the Raiders set their 53-man roster this week.
It's set, man.
It's kind of set.
The AFC Championship teams.
No,
I'm just kidding.
It's kind of set.
But, a dangerous team. They're a dangerous team.
Yeah. And I think they're closing in on the final 53.
They're getting closer, man.
Yesterday, some big news. The Raiders came to terms with KJ Wright.
That was huge.
The veteran linebacker from the Seattle Seahawks. Didn't realize, honestly, how good a year he actually had last year.
Yeah, and a career. I mean, he's been,
10 years.
Two-time, all-pro, second team, and Pro Bowler. He's won awards like the Steve Largent Award, which shows a lot about his character as well as, his physical ability to play the game.
Right.
So it's great to have a guy like that, I bet, in the locker room to have around on the team and, to help some of these young guys come along. Like Diablo, right? Guys like that.
Yeah, and it allows guys like Devon Diablo and Tanner Muse to be more on that development track, which they're going to get there eventually. But the Raiders want to win right now, and especially opening the season against a quality opponent like the Baltimore Ravens. The offense that they run, you need help at linebacker. His addition comes on the heels The Raiders trading for Denzel Perryman as well. Key there, both of those players have a history with Gus Brennan.
Yes, and
the
it helps.
Coordinator.
Right, and it helps because with his familiarity with his system, he can come in and make an impact now, right? Rather than getting behind, learning the plays and learning. I'm sure Gus has added on some things since they've
He knows what he's going to be doing.
Right, yeah, but for the most part, he understands the system better.
And, I got to give the Raiders credit here.
Yeah.
A week ago, the linebacker group looked, it was a vulnerability.
Yeah, they needed help. They needed help.
He needed help. Coming into training camp, I felt like that was one area that
need to be addressed more.
Yeah, because you had Nicholas Morrow, you had Nick Wachowski, you had Corey Littleton, but behind them, Tanner Muse, you had Divine Diablo, two young players, basically rookies. Could you afford to go into a season with that as your depth? So that was always on my radar coming into the season. Then you lose Nicholas Morrow. Then Wachowski goes down for a couple of weeks.
Right.
Also, Javin White from UNLV, who another good, promising young player. It really made a vulnerability cause for some anxiety.
Right.
So I give the Raiders credit for rebounding the way they did to bring in Perryman and to bring in KJ Wright. All of a sudden, that what was a vulnerable position is a strength. I think.
Now it seems to be a strength, and that's an important area. Every position is important, really, right? But on the defensive side, normally your leader and your captain is that backers. Somewhere your middle linebacker. Look at some of these great teams that's been successful. It's always like Ray Lewis, Brian Urlacher, those kind of guys. They always kind of like led the defense, right? They're a linebacker.
And did we mention who's going to be the quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens on Monday night? Talk to the fans about how important that linebacker play will be against the Lamar Jackson.
Oh, it's extremely important because they're going to have to call the checks. Lamar Jackson calls the audible. They're going to have to audible as a defense. Everything's going to be basically geared to where how do we stop him? Because how do we?
Who's gonna? I mean, from a linebacker position perspective, you're gonna have somebody that's shading him, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure because he's a mobile quarterback, right? He presents like that's what they call a dual threat.
Yeah,
he can throw the ball, and people who say like, oh, he's just no, he can throw the ball.
Oh yeah,
like Lamar Jackson can throw the ball, and the thing about it is just like any old defense, right? Any defensive philosophy, stop the run.
Yeah.
And the reason why he has these big chunk pass yards, people are so afraid of his legs. They're like, oh, okay, because your initial responsibility as a defense, stop the run. And defend the pass, right?
So we'll see. KJ Wright was expected to be in the building on Friday.
That's exciting, man. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited for him.
He obviously he was a free agent, so there was no training camp. Do you worry that he's not going to be able to be ready to play by opening night?
He's a 10-year veteran, man. And so that's actually probably a good thing for him. It saves his body.
He knows what he's doing, right?
Yeah, he knows what he's doing, and he's familiar, like with the system we just mentioned. So I actually am glad he didn't play. He could save his body and be great for week one.
All right, so that's the news of the day. What I wanted to do today was take a look at the roster.
Yeah,
that
take a look at this,
roster.
man. Break it
I
down.
want to start defensively because to me. Obviously,
defense win championships.
It wins championships.
Offense sell games.
I think the offense, and I think this offense is going to sell a whole bunch of tickets.
They will, yeah.
But they need the defense. We've talked about it so much less. Last year, the defense gave up 30 points a game, third worst in the NFL. They forced the third fewest turnovers in the NFL. They were third worst in getting teams off the field on third downs. That's just
whenever you're counting for the back up, that's not good.
In three key areas.
Counting for the bottom up.
They were third worst in sacks.
Yeah, those are all the things that you're not going to win many games if you're not successful in those categories.
And the Raiders obviously had a self-awareness about that, and they got to work.
And they made those corrections. Man.
Yeah, and I want to start at the defensive line. I've been super impressed. I've been at every practice. I've been going back to OTAs.
Yeah.
The defensive line that the Raiders have put together is dramatically different from last year.
Yeah, it's a big difference. Yeah, they
dramatically.
brought in a lot of guys.
Yeah, and we'll just name them off. The newcomers: Unique Ngakoue, Gerald McCoy, Quentin Jefferson, Darius Philon, Solomon Thomas. Those are the five key. That right there could be a good starting group. Let alone where they're kind of going to be, which is starting. Some guys are going to be reserves. But then you add that
The rotation
less,
is great.
yeah, you add less that to what they've got coming back.
Right.
Cleve Farrell,
Max Crosby.
Jonathan Hankins.
Jonathan Hankins.
They drafted Malcolm Kuntz. So what you're starting to talk about is a 9-10 player rotation.
A rotation, and all they could all be starters, all 9. They're all starter material and talent.
And talking to Gus Bradley and John Gruden, and it goes kind of back also to Rod Marinelli, the defensive line coach. He wants to come at people in waves. You look at successful teams recently, the Philadelphia Eagles a few years ago, they literally had a rotation of 8 defensive linemen.
They could get after the quarterback.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the importance of that?
Oh, I mean, the fresh bodies, like being able to, in the third, fourth quarter, like you have a fresh body getting after that quarterback. And then you have like a guy like Lamar Jackson, man. You need some guys who can chase him down and keep that pressure on him, and when you look at these guys, they have like about 3 first rounders.
Yeah.
Right? Think about it, like really, like you got Ngakoue. Solomon Thomas was a top 5 pick.
He was a third pick overall.
Third pick overall, right.
Didn't live up to expectations, but still young enough.
There's some things that was in his life, but whatever that may be. But I mean, he's a top 5 talent,
right.
And at worst, he's in the top 32 talent, right? At that draft,
right?
So he's a first round. They got Gerald McCoy, who's another first rounder. They got some talent up front, man, and those guys are going to get after those quarterbacks. And you can see, I referred to this in one of the other episodes, which was, you saw what happened to Mahomes. When you can get after a quarterback with 4 guys,
right,
3 sometimes, man, you're going to cause problems in the back for him because there's not going to be a lot of open windows.
Exactly, and that's really what Gus Bradley's defense is predicated on.
Exactly.
Within the course of an offseason, I think the Raiders really turned things around.
I think so too.
The defensive line.
They addressed where we needed to immediately. Up front.
And I talked to John Gruden about this. I talked to Mike Mack, the general manager, about this. They're not gonna make all these predictions right now. They want to see it first, but I could tell you right now they're excited about this group and what they're going to be able to bring to the table. And to me, it all starts there. So. Good on the Raiders for addressing what was a huge weakness last year and making it into something that you can project, at least projecting, Les, you just named those names, where they were drafted. There's no reason why this can't be a better unit.
There's no reason. Oh, well, unless it's health, right? Health problems, it's injuries and whatnot. But, I mean, I'm excited, man. And I like how they address up front, right? Because, they brought in KJ Wright and whatnot. But when you dominate up front, man, your linebackers can just fly around.
Well, and that's where we're going to next is the linebacker room. And again, last week or when we did the last show, it was anxious times. Like they were, trying to put a good look on it, a good face to it, but losing Nicholas Morrow, losing Javin White, not having Nick Wachowski at that point, and projecting ahead to the Baltimore Ravens, it was anxious times. Well, that's kind of turning around now. And so when you project this linebacker group playing behind that offensive line.
The defensive line,
Or excuse me, that defensive line. What's...
Oh, man, I might have a couple Pro Bowls. I'm serious, I expect a really big year from Corey Littleton. I think he's going to have a great year. And obviously KJ Wright, I think he's going to come in and make some plays. And that front's going to keep those linemen off of those linebackers. So they're going to make a lot of plays, I think. I think the turnovers are going to be a lot higher. When they blitz, they're going to get home, and the sack total is going to start rising too.
And I think I was there covering Corey Littleton when he developed from a special teams player to a Pro Bowl linebacker.
Oh yeah,
playing behind what was a very good defensive line. Obviously, you have Aaron Donald in front of him. Michael Brockers was in front of him. So Ndamukong Suh was in front of him. So when you get a defensive line, a capable defensive line in front of Corey. Corey's shown that he could go hunt the ball in the run game, and then he can also defend in the pass. So
sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
It's exciting because you have 2 Super Bowl linebackers, and Corey Littleton, he went to the Super Bowl with the Rams, and then you also have KJ Wright, who won a Super Bowl with the Seahawks. So having those 2 guys there, man, their experience and what they bring, they've tasted the championship. They tasted NFC Championship champions with Corey Littleton, and then Super Bowl champion with Seattle, KJ Wright. So.
And I'm going to say this too. Guys like Divine Diablo, Javin White when he gets back healthy, and Tanner Muse. What this also allows the Raiders to do is, not so much pressure on those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, a week ago, there was a strong likelihood that guys like Divine Diablo and Tanner Muse were going to have to play big minutes.
HOV lane.
And I'm sure they would have been up to the challenge, but there's only so much you can expect of a rookie player on that kind of a stage. This allows them to now grow at a more. And the thing is, too, count on both of those players being huge assets on special teams.
Oh, absolutely. They're going to be on special teams. Yeah, that's a fact.
Right. So we've talked about the defensive line.
Okay.
Talked about the linebackers. I think both of those areas, on paper, are better than it was last year. Yeah.
The last 3 years.
I think if you're a Raider fan, you can be excited.
Right.
It's okay to be excited about that.
Yep.
Now you move to the secondary.
Yep.
All right.
My favorite part,
Starters, Trayvon
Mullen.
Casey Hayward.
Yep.
Nate Hobbs, the
slot corner
rookie from Illinois that's just been blowing people away.
Right. He's amazing.
Trayvon Moehrig.
And
Jonathan Abram. And behind them, Damon Arnett.
Amik Robertson. First round pick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Amik Robertson, who had a really strong training camp.
Right.
Keyshawn Nixon, when he gets back healthy. All of a sudden you start looking at that secondary as well.
Yes.
And
looking good.
On paper, it looks better.
And on paper, it look great. And they have depth, like you just mentioned. So if teams go into empty sets and we have to take on a linebacker and put in an extra DB, like a dime DB, we got them. We got depth in that position. Well, the Raiders do. The Raiders.
Right. So, all right, we just broke it all down. The Raiders defense gave up 30 points a game last year.
That's not good.
you're between the new coaching staff, the roster that we just broke down.
Right. And that's
what are we thinking
as far
as the defense?
Oh, I could see us being in the top 15.
Really?
But the Raiders being in the top 15. I could see them being in the top 15. If you look at the history of Gus Bradley, right, he's always coached top 10. Somewhere in that area. Defensive units, and then I'm sure by just looking at the draft picks, the free agent signings, he had a lot to say with that.
Of course.
You can just see it. You can see the
that,
guys are signing. So he's told them, look, this is what I need, and I'm glad that the organization believed him and said, okay, you know what? It seems like they said, what do you need? And we'll get them. If they're available, we'll go get them.
And that's what the best front offices do. And when there's a trust factor.
Right.
You talk to Mike Mayock, and the way he always sets it up, the scouts are on this floor, the coaches are on this floor. And he always refers to the Raiders as being a coach-driven organization. So they give the coaches a lot of leeway in terms of help us out.
Right.
What are you looking for? What's the skill set? What are the tendencies that you're looking for your linebacker, your Sam, your Mike, your Otto, your slot cornerback. So and it sure looks on paper like they listened to what Gus Bradley had to say.
Exactly. Listen to what he thought will work.
Reminder, we're here at the Rockstar Bar, brought to you by TAT. I want to thank the Rockstar Bar for being so cordial. We're going to be here September 12th, Monday, 5 o'clock till whenever, celebrating the first week of pro football.
Yes.
We're going to have a band, Raiderhead
is
rock going to be in the house.
Yep, they've been playing for the Raiders for quite some time.
Right.
So it's not like they're just some new band
that
we found just playing on the sidewalk of the Las Vegas Boulevard.
Right,
These guys are Raider-driven bands.
We're going to have giveaways. We're going to give away tickets to the Raider game.
To the actual game, the Raider game, the Baltimore versus Raider game,
other
Monday
events. We've got some surprises up our sleeve.
Right.
So please join us. Make this the unofficial, official, whatever you want to call
NFL
it. Hang out on Sundays.
NFL game.
To watch football
all day.
And talk Raiders. Meet some
great people.
Yeah. Q Myers will be here, so it'll be a lot of fun. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk about the offense when we come back. What's good, pro football fans? Welcome back to Pro Football Power Hour. I'm Vinny Bonsignor.
I'm Les Kikahuna.
I cover the Raiders for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, also host In the Huddle on Raider Nation Radio. Mondays through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. We're here at the Rockstar Bar, brought to you by Tat, our good friends over at Tat. Just a reminder, once again, we're going to be here on September 12th, 5 p.m. Till whenever, celebrating the start of pro football season, and of course, leading into the Raiders game the next day over at Allegiant Stadium. Raider fan, football fan, Raven fan, if you're in town, wherever
NFL fans.
Exactly. If you're here locally or if you're coming in from out of town, join us at the Rockstar Bar, starting at 5 p.m. on Sunday, September 12th. We're going to have Raider tickets that we're going to give away. We've got a bunch of other surprises that we have up our sleeve. We just want to meet you, hang out with you, get a chance to talk football. That's what it's all about.
That's really what. And meet some good people, probably coming in from out of town, some of the locals.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Some good drinks, some good food, some good
drinks.
times. And Raiderhead Band is going to be here taking the roof off. Can't wait to hear them.
We'll have some DJ music too as well.
So it's a big party. It's a big party is what we're talking about.
It's a big old celebration.
So come join us.
NFL weekend.
Yep, absolutely. We talked about the defense less.
Right.
Let's go right to the offense. I feel like this is... are there some concerns? Yes. Anytime you start the season with three new starters along the offensive line, the Raiders, let's just throw it out there. They traded Rodney Hudson, their longtime center. They traded Gabe Jackson, their longtime right guard, and they traded Trent Brown, their
tackle.
Yeah,
right tackle.
Barely played
when he played.
Yeah, exactly. So in their place,
for the Raiders.
Andre James, the young rookie, third-year center. Alex Leatherwood, the rookie right tackle, and Denzel Good now takes over at right guard. And then Richie Incognito comes back. Hopefully he's healthy. We'll see. Get a better idea.
Always great to have him, right? He brings some nastiness and toughness to the whole line.
Exactly. Left guard alongside left tackle Colt Miller. So I'm going to start there, Les, because I think that it all starts up front.
It always does.
I hate to be all cliche.
It always does, yeah.
But that's the truth.
That's the truth.
And you look at this unit, and yes, there is, until they go out and prove it.
Yeah.
It's a question mark. But one thing that I do like is I think it's younger. I think it's more explosive, and I think it's going to be more
dynamic,
reliable. Trent Brown didn't play last year. What did he play? 4 games or something?
Yeah, something like that.
The Raiders as a whole got 5 snaps together from what was projected to be their starting lineup
unit, right?
Yeah, so that's not going to get it done.
No.
Colton Miller plays.
But you know what? I mean, just to jump into it, but you know what? It says a lot because Carr did a lot with that.
Yeah.
They put up a lot of points.
Yes.
Considering that they were shuffling the whole line around.
Exactly, that's a great point. But now you have starting left left to right. Colton Miller plays. He's a consistent. Plays, rarely hurt, rarely injured. He plays. Alex Leatherwood, the right tackle, plays. I mean, you go back
moves mountains.
Yes,
right?
And he's always available. You go back to his.
It's your best ability, right?
Yes, exactly.
Availability.
And he loves football. He's smart.
Right. Loves the game.
Aside from some kind of knock on wood, serious injury, you figure that he's going to figure out a way to be out there for you every week.
Absolutely.
Richie Incognito, there are some concerns. He's hurt right now. He was hurt all of last year. So that's something that you're going to have to monitor, especially at his age.
Right.
But I think between John Simpson and potentially Nick Martin as backups, they're in okay shape to be able to cover Richie if he can't go. The goal is for Richie to play. And as Les mentioned earlier, he brings a nastiness and a toughness.
Yep, he brings that attitude, man. And when you have that up front, man, it's contagious, right?
Right.
All the other players play like that.
And I think Denzel Good over at right guard showed last year that he's more than good enough to hold it down, hold down a position. I expect him actually to get better this year. Andre James, the rookie center. Listen. Is it a gamble going with a young center after having Rodney Hudson be a stalwart there? Yeah, of course. But I'll say this. He's been working with Tom Cable, the offensive line coach, the last 2 years. Tom Cable has been around long enough.
He knows what it looks like, right?
Yeah, exactly. So he feels like there's this is his time.
Yep.
The coach feels like it's Andre James' time. We'll find out. So
it's exciting, man, to have those guys up front.
Yeah.
Especially because I look at us I look at the Raiders trying to really run that ball this year, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. That's probably be a focus, right?
It's always going to be a focus of John Gruden, no doubt about it. Let's go to wide receiver, a group that I think has a chance to be dynamic. It needs
speed,
young players to step forward.
Right.
Henry Ruggs, Brian Edwards,
another one.
These guys are second-year players. They bring something different to the table. Henry Ruggs is that speed guy that you're looking for, of that possession type receiver, guy that can go up and get it, the red zone threat. But
big
again,
body,
they're
big guy, right?
Yeah, 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah.
Les, these are two players who last year went through some rough rookie year, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Number one,
not training camp, right? They
it was
have off-season, right?
Very condensed training camp.
Very condensed, yeah.
No off season really, except for on Zoom.
Right.
And so I think, first of all, that lack of foundation hurt them. But then both of them suffered injuries early on.
That's true.
Unless I always say this, when you're a rookie player and you get hurt, that train doesn't slow down for you. It's heading down the track.
Right.
And when you get healthy, which usually you're not going to be 100% after an injury, it's on you to go catch up to that track. Yep. It's not going to slow down for you.
You're not going to stop and slow down.
Right. And then you got to find your way back, and it's just a struggle for a rookie player.
It is.
But I think if they can avoid the injuries, coming back now a year later, having a regular offseason, having a regular training camp, the players that I saw look different. Henry Ruggs is bigger and stronger. He's more explosive. I think
put in the work in the offseason, right?
Yeah.
In that weight room.
Exactly. And I think he's in a better position to be able to utilize that speed. I mean, it's one thing to be fast.
Yeah.
But to be able to turn that speed into an explosiveness and something that's going to put concern into the defense.
Secondary, right?
Yeah, like, now that they have to truly account for that and deal with it.
It's going to open up a lot. And then, for all the underneath routes, too, because he's stretching that field,
right?
Defense is going to have to scheme against that, right? And it changes the calls a lot for the defense. So it's great to have him back,
I want to see. I know the ball is going to go where it's going to go.
Right.
And Derek Carr is good at that. But I really believe that you need to get the ball to Henry Ruggs 10 times. 10 touches a game.
Or, thrown to him.
Well, not just thrown to him.
Like, I would say, thrown to him. And then, if he can, catch the ball, obviously.
Fly sweeps.
Yeah. Hand it off to him.
Hand it off to him.
Smoke screens.
Bubbles. Yes, exactly.
That kind of stuff. Jailbreak routes and all that,
Because I think that you have to establish him as a weapon that opposing teams have to be afraid of.
Yeah, they have to account for him all the time, every single time he's on that field.
And then on top of that, I think the minute he starts making some plays is the minute Derek Carr's going to have more confidence in him.
Right. He's going to have more confidence to himself, right?
The coaching staff is going to be more confident getting him the ball.
Everything just gets better.
Right. And the defenses are going to have to all right, it's not just his speed that we have to worry about. It's what he can do with the ball that we have to worry about.
Absolutely. Running with that ball after and different routes, right? They're not just always throwing the bomb to him.
Yeah.
Like you just said, throw those quick smoke screens or jailbreak routes, bubble passes and all that stuff. And then, sometimes now they're playing for that and gone. 80-yard route.
And, by the way, Darren Waller's over there. Hunter Renfro's over there.
Exactly what I was thinking about. Hunter
Brian
Renfro,
Edwards.
Waller.
Willie Snead. 5 wide receivers.
All issues.
5 wide receivers on the roster. Is that enough?
Absolutely.
You think so?
Absolutely.
On the 53?
Oh man, that's enough. That's enough because we got a great running game.
Wait, hang on. Did I say 5? Is it 5 or 6? Let's see. We got Hunter Renfro, Willie Snead, Henry Ruggs, Brian Edwards, and Zay Jones. Am I missing somebody?
Zay Jones? Nope, that's it.
It's just 5?
Those 3, 4, 5. Yep,
1,
5. Because then we have also practice squad guys, right?
5 wide receivers. Is that enough?
That's enough.
Especially when you have a guy.
That's not counting Waller, right? At tight end.
Who's really a wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean he's a phenom, right? That guy's like freak athlete.
So a lot of potential from the weapons. We mentioned Darren Waller. I think Foster Moreau also. Keep an eye on the third-year tight end from LSU.
Yes.
So that takes us to quarterback.
We all know who the quarterback is.
Right. And I think that I know Derek.
I think he's going to have a great year. I really do. I mean, last year he did. Don't let the record fool you.
No, he was fine.
He had a great year, like statistically, and what he did with what he had.
Right.
And now I think with like you just mentioned about the development of them, one more year with Edwards and Ruggs, and and he didn't have them all the time because, like you said, injuries. So now if he can have them consistently through the year, with this offensive line, and two good tailbacks, man.
The running backs being Josh Jacobs and Kenyan Drake.
Yes.
We can't overlook our guy Alec Ingold, captain, by the way.
Captain.
He was voted captain. That's
huge.
Yeah.
When your peers see you as a leader, that's huge, man.
And
he definitely deserves it. He definitely deserves it.
Mentioning that, you look back at that 2019 group, whether it was the draft, undrafted free agency, or even Waller. Waller he came aboard late in 18, but really 2019 was his sort of breakout year. When you look at the captains, Waller, Alec Ingold, Josh Jacobs, you've got guys that are part of that 2019 group that came here. Even Richie Incognito got here in 2019.
Yeah,
he's a
veteran,
one of the captains.
Right.
I really think, and I've been seeing this at practice and just observing the team and knowing the team, that 2019 draft class and undrafted free agent, it's sort of taken. It's the heart and soul now of this team.
Right. And that's Gruden's guys.
Yeah.
That's who he handpicked himself. So I think he did a great job. The names you just named, they're great leaders. They're athletes. They're impact players.
Right.
So
we're gonna get back,
which is important to have great captains.
I think you got to get Marcus Mariota on the field. And I'm going to say this. I was up in San Francisco last week, and it looks like they're going to go with a combination.
Rotation, right? For the rotation.
It's like situationally they're going to bring Trey Lance in.
Okay.
Why can't the Raiders do the same thing with Marcus Mariota? Trey Lance is Marcus Mariota 5 years ago. And I saw when Trey came in and the effect that it can have.
Right.
There's no reason to me that Marcus, if he's healthy, can't be not maybe as much, but somebody that situationally.
How's his throwing look? Did it look like he's back? Because that was one of his issues, right?
Last year.
Yeah, they said that the ball would float away sometimes.
But if you go back to what he did against the Chargers when he came off the bench, he looked decisive, he looked in control. To me, it's all about his health. If he's healthy, I think he needs to have a role. We didn't get to running backs.
I could see him being in their situation.
Right? So we'll see. Josh Jacobs and Kenyan Drake, I think.
Ooh, I'm excited for those guys. I really want to see what kind of season Jacobs has, following up from last year, but also bringing in Drake, man, because I think I've been able to watch him play. He's a baller, man. He's a baller, and to have the two of them healthy, have that 1-2 punch kind of going, right?
Yeah, and I know people were kind of scratching their heads when they signed Kenyan Drake, but what was interesting about that is Josh Jacobs was arguing for it.
Oh yeah.
He called Kenyan because they played together, together at Alabama, but they both went to Alabama.
They both went to Alabama, right?
And he's like, "Hey, come join me in Las Vegas." And he went to the coaches. Hey, this is a guy.
This is a lot, man.
Of course.
I mean, this is a lot.
Understanding that it's not all about me.
Yes.
It might take some carries away from me, but we're gonna be a better team for this.
And you know what? Like, it may take away some of his carries, but because he's stronger and healthier, Jacobs, right? Like later in the games, later in the season, he's gonna have bigger chunk runs.
Exactly.
That's really what it is. Like,
let's not forget 17 games this year.
17, so exactly. That's one more game. It's a physically draining sport, man. And people who don't know the game, they quite don't understand how physically draining it can be, man. One extra game is a lot.
So we look at this roster.
Yep.
I think there's more talent.
All the way around.
I think there's more experience.
Right.
I think there's more depth. I think there's more players that make sense for what they're trying to do.
And the players that they have is exactly who they wanted.
Exactly.
And that's important.
All right, Les. We're a week or so away from the season opener.
Okay.
That's the roster as of right now. How many games can this roster win for the Raiders?
I'll say at least 12.
Wow.
Yeah. At least 12.
I
went to their schedule. At least 12.
The wise guys in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I think what is it, 7.5?
That's crazy
for their over under.
Right. I say they can win at least 12. You know, like the part where I see it being tough for them is that starting with that. I mean, the whole season, every NFL game is hard, but it's like, man, because it seems like the last couple of years, that's where they stumbled anyway.
Right.
Ending of November, December, that's where like kind of like oh man.
I think depth was an issue.
Right. It was exactly because as the season went on, they got injuries and all that stuff hurt them. You're right, and so I seem like they addressed that. And I think so. Like look at the depth. And talented too. The depth is talented. They're not just like, I have two guys behind them. Like actually first rounders.
Right.
Like top picks as a rotation. You know.
It's still, obviously injuries are going to play a role this year, but I think they're in a better position.
They definitely are, man. And I'd like to say it's safe to say 12.
12 wins.
And I just hope that they do really well starting with that Thanksgiving weekend, which is at Dallas, and then there's a 4-game. Cleveland, Kansas City, and Washington Redskins were all tough teams, man.
Washington Football Club, by the way.
Washington Football Club.
So 12 wins. There you have it. Les is saying 12 wins. I'm not rolling it out, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not. I think their ceiling is in that 12-win range, and that might shock some people, but I like what I've seen from these Raiders. They're going to have to get on the field and prove it, and guess what? That starts next week.
Yep, and then it's a big week. I mean, it's a big week every week, but to start the season off successful is going to be big for them against a good team like Baltimore.
Very good team. And then the week after that, they go to Pittsburgh.
But they're in a position to be successful because they're at home.
Yeah.
It's the opening game with fans. Like, if there's any better way to start it off is that way there, man, for them,
Yeah, and we'll be here next week to preview the game, catch you up on any latest news.
We'll give you guys the exact score too.
And we're gonna have a pick'em.
Pick'em, yeah.
A little contest that we're gonna have going on between my good friend Les and I. We're gonna pick maybe 5 games. Each week to give you our guidance on.
Right. Our guidance, some insight because Vinny spends a lot of time with not just the Raiders but a lot of other NFL teams that he has experience with, and so give you some insight on what to expect.
Yeah.
And then who knows, we may come up with some kind of giveaway. For people who pick the right teams. Like
we'll come up with something.
We'll come up with something.
We're gonna talk about that.
We'll come up with something.
A reminder.
Right.
And we're gonna hit you up on it again next week. September 12th. Rockstar Bar, 5 o'clock. If you're a pro football fan, please come join us. Raider fans coming into town. Raider fans that live here in Las Vegas. Raven fans that are coming into town. It's all good. Everybody's welcome.
Hey, Rams fans, because there'll be the Rams game going on that night.
Exactly.
Tampa Bay fans, if you're in town as well, come here and watch the game.
We're going to have giveaways. We're going to give away 2 tickets to the Raiders game against the Ravens and some other surprises that we have up our sleeve. We're going to have great music from Raiderhead band. You're going to love those guys.
DJ,
drinks,
car
club, all of that. Yeah. So join us. Subscribe, please subscribe, hit like, do all that stuff that you do. Shout out to Tap, of course, our great sponsor. Shout out to Rockstar Bar for being so hospitable.
Hospitable, and you know what? Like if you guys are available, listen to Vinny. He's on during the weekdays between 4 to 6 p.m. normally. Depends on games. Raider Nation Radio. Follow him on Twitter. Follow him on a social media platform.
Vegas Nation.
The Daily News, Las Vegas Daily News. Read his article. Review Journal.
Las Vegas Review Journal.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
I used to work for the Los Angeles Daily News.
Right, and just follow him and all the things he do. He has the latest information. Everything is first-hand information. So he's the guy that gives you all the.
I appreciate that. Until next week, take care, pro football fans.